Hello and welcome to Wisdom Bites. Hope you're well. Thank you once again for joining us. Very much appreciated. And in today's video, I'm going to continue from the last video when I was showing you all these candlestick patterns and how they're developing and the information they're containing and what we can actually deduce from them. But obviously, before I begin, the usual polite reminder, please remember everything I say and everything I talk about here is just my perspective. Nothing should be taken as financial advice. Please do your wider research before you make any investment decisions. As I've said many times, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not a financial advisor. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't even know what I'm going to have for lunch later on today. So I don't know the future. All I'm doing is basically giving you my perspective and using my knowledge of candlestick patterns and other oscillators and indicators on the charts and deducing from that what I can and then giving you that as my information. Sometimes it'll be right and sometimes it'll be wrong. That's just the harsh realities of life, unfortunately. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's begin again, because the candlesticks are really developing in such a way that it's making me realize that more and more, as we're going into this rising trend here, as you can see, the wicks at the bottom are getting higher and higher and higher, which basically means that there is rising demand in the market at the moment until here. Obviously, as I said in the last video, I'm still expecting the price to come back down to at least this point here at around about 34,600. But in the last video, I mentioned to you this candle here, that at the top of this wick and at the bottom, these candles are all playing to the tune of this candle here. And just now, within the last hour or so, this candle tried to break the top of this, but we never got even a 1 hour close above here. So again, the price action here is telling us how important this point is here, because it tried to breach this high of the wick, but it got pushed down by the bears, as you can see quite clearly here. So if I put the levels on here, you'll see what I mean. Obviously, this level is now a very strong key resistant point because we came up here and got rejected all the way down here, a strong level of bearish pressure. We came here again, strong bearish pressure, came here again, strong bearish pressure, and now currently we're again, once again in this same state of mind. So this is proving to be a very strong level of resistance. It is going to take a lot of momentum and effort to get above this. However, when we look inside these candles, so these are your daily candles, but when you break them down into the 4 hour and the 1 hour candles, they're telling you a particular story of why there is a higher degree of probability that we're going to get rejected here and come back down, more likely to this level here at the 34,600 level. So this is that key level of resistance here. And as you can see with this long wick here, in the last hour or so, it got pushed back very aggressively back to lower levels and even further down here. But what was interesting yesterday, I was looking at the 1 hour candles over here, and as you can see quite clearly, the wicks on the top of these candles are repeatedly being rejected from the higher levels. And one thing you will notice is that at the top of these wicks, you can see quite clearly we're not having any of these candles close on even a 1 hour chart above these wicks here. Especially these candles, which are telling you a different type of story. These are very important candles. And I mentioned in the last video that we had this inverse hammer candle here, which was basically saying that there is a reversal taking place now at this point. So we had this big run up yesterday, and then we got these candles which were forming to give us a clue as to where the market is more than likely with a higher degree of probability heading. So this is an inverse hammer candle, which is telling you that this very strong rally that we had yesterday, the momentum of which has now come to an end here by this candle, whereby higher levels of demand or higher levels of buying has been pushed back by the bears. And then this candle here is a spinning top. So the spinning top followed this inverse hammer, and once again, it's saying basically that this is an indecision candle. So the momentum's come to an end, indecision is entering the market, and then this was followed, the next candle here, by another spinning top, showing further termination of this momentum that we got here. So what you're getting is a series of indecision and bearish candles interspersed with each other. And the one that really made up my mind and confirmed that with a higher degree of probability we're going to be coming back down this way was this shooting star candle here. Now basically this is slightly different to these, as you can see, that where the price started, it tried to move higher, but the bears moved in and pushed the price all the way down to where it started, and that's why you get this very small little body at the bottom. And you usually find these at the top of a trend like this, and signals the fall of the trend to the downside. The bulls have tried their very best to try and push the market a bit higher, but each time they've been rejected. The bulls have got exhausted here, and this candle here seems to have been a very big effort by the bulls to try and push it above this blue line that I drew at the top of that daily candle I've just shown you. And while it went above that, we never had a close above it. And that signaled, to me anyway, that the buyers are now getting exhausted, having tried all this time there to try and push it above that daily bearish candle here. So this one has played a very important role in the development of this price action over here. So while the shorter term position seems to be bearish, the slightly longer term position is actually quite bullish, and I'll show you that very shortly. But before I do that, I want to give you the Fibonacci retracements that where this market is going to be more likely to come back down to. So currently we've got the price has come down to this level down here at 32,900, and I've shown you this many times that we have a very high likely that we're going to get rejected at the 61.8 level here, and that's exactly what we've done. That was the candle, that daily candle I've just shown you, that reached the top, and then we've done a double top here basically. So we've got rejected at the 61.8 so far. Of course this can still go higher, and it can invalidate the narrative I'm giving you. And as intelligent investors, we must always be prepared to let the market tell us what it wants to do. And if it wants to go higher, then we then take a different narrative. But for all intents and purposes, the candlestick patterns here are telling me that we're coming down. So the question is, how far are we coming down here? So if this is now the top of the wick of this candle, it didn't close above it, but it actually wicked up. So we now need to take that as the next point. So we take it from the bottom here to the top of the wick. And as we know, Bitcoin has an affinity to come back down to the 61.8, and the 61.8 here is telling us that the price is more than likely going to come back down to around about the $35,200 to $35,000 mark here. This is where I would be expecting the market to come down. But as I mentioned in the last video, this candle here, which is the hammer candle, has the power to bring this price down all the way to at least around the 50% or more of this candle, and that was showing a confluence to the $34,600 mark here. So while the price at 61.8 might come back down to the $35,000 mark, it may wick down and take out this candle here and double bottom here. So this is what I'm expecting. Now many people ask me whether we're more than likely to come back down and actually go lower than this, and nobody can give you a definitive answer that yes, it's definitely going to go down or definitely going to go up, because markets don't work like that. Simply because, as I've said many times, these are nothing about certainties or guarantees. These candlestick patterns and the market indicators and oscillators are all about probabilities and possibilities. And all I can say is that with my experience of looking at these types of candles here, the rising demand that I'm seeing here, and that with every higher wick that we're getting, I'm leaning more and more towards the fact that this bottom here is actually the bottom that we've had. I'm struggling to think how the price can come down and go below this bottom here, judging by the rising demand and the way the formation of these candles are appearing here. So that's my view. That doesn't mean it can't go below that. Of course it can, but I'm just giving you my perspective. So please remember, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know the future. I'm just giving you one man's perspective. And my insight into this is that I'm going to play it like this myself. And I can only talk about myself. This is not financial advice, obviously. I keep saying, please do your wider research before you make any decisions. So the way I'm playing this is that as the price comes back down to these levels here, around about the 34.5, this is where I will try to dollar cost average back into the market. And I've already been actually dollar cost averaging around these levels anyway. So these candles are basically telling me that a reversal is taking place around here. Just a quick mention to those of you who like the Wisdom Bites section, i.e. the personal development side of the things that I do here at Wisdom Bites. Just this morning I posted this video here, which is a fantastic video. It's a video that had an absolute profound effect on me about 7 years ago, I think, when it came out. If you really want to improve, if you really want to progress, if you really want to be successful in life, then these are the types of things you've got to allow yourself to be exposed to, and then reflect on the message that's in there. And what it really did for me was to actually take out the clutter in the mind of the things that were distracting us. So sometimes we have to clear our pathway to success. And videos like this, information like this, help us all to actually get rid of that distraction and the clutter out of the mind so that we can all move forward and be as successful as we possibly can. So please take a view of this video here. And if you want to go to my Twitter page, then please find the link in the description box below my videos here. And finally, I'm going to show you one of the Bitcoin miners and show you exactly what's developing there, because sometimes that is a prelude to what can happen to Bitcoin and vice versa, because they're directly related to each other. So on the 1 hour chart, this is Marathon Digital Holdings, and yesterday I noticed this 3 candle pattern that developed here, which is basically a green candle here, a small bodied candle in the middle, and a red candle which followed this small-bodied candle here. And collectively, this is called an evening star candle pattern. So what is an evening star candle pattern? It's used by technical analysts to detect when a trend is about to reverse. Please remember, these are not 100%, these are higher probabilities. So we're talking about a higher probability for a trend to reverse. So the evening star patterns are associated with the top of a price uptrend, signifying that the uptrend is nearing its end. And obviously the opposite of the evening star is the morning star pattern, which is viewed as a bullish indicator. So once again, this is telling me that this trend that we've had over the last couple of days is about to come to an end here. Now, if you look back, you'll see many times this happens. There's one here, exactly the same pattern, and this is what happened afterwards. You'll see another one here. We had an uptrend, got the 3 candle pattern here, and this is what happened. Once again, a big uptrend, 3 candle pattern, a downtrend follows, etc., etc. There are numerous examples on virtually every chart. So currently I'm expecting a fall here. Is that guaranteed? Of course not. This can easily go up there if the Bitcoin decides to move up, and we know that Bitcoin has a life of its own. It can do whatever it wants. But in the absence of not knowing, and in the absence of not having a crystal ball, we have to rely on these patterns. We have to rely on our insight into how these patterns work and how these candlesticks work. And that just gives us an edge, and that's all it does. It really gives us an edge. Okay, so I hope you found value in that. And if you did, then please do remember to like and subscribe and to turn on the notification bell. And if you've got any comments, questions, or suggestions, then please leave them in the comments below. Until the next time, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.